I've been accused of singing, and so I stand guilty as charged. This is a song dedicated to persons with dementia and their families who are trying to live together, different and yet common in their humanity. So if you can, won't you say them a prayer? They're gonna need all the help they can get. They remember too much about what's gone wrong. It might be they should learn to forget themselves and each other, to leave what belongs in the past, to carry their hearts like a newborn child. It's only the moment that lasts. We're not for forever. We're only day to day. One part, take my love. One part, go away. Grazie, mille grazie. Jerome is saying to himself, don't encourage him, don't encourage him. I found many resonances, many connections with the speakers that have come earlier. For example, in statistical analysis, many of the statistics we use in the social sciences came to us from agricultural research, including a particular statistic that was developed by a man who worked for Guinness Brewery when he had to determine which crop to buy to make the beer. But that's another story. In Cleveland, where I come from, we have a Montessori school that goes to age 18 years of age. And it is a farm school. And the children live on the farm. And they work the farm. It is applied Montessori, applied mathematics, how to determine crop yields. They run a bed and breakfast. So they study mathematics through accounting to make sure that the books are good. So I leave you this idea also. I will talk some more about some commonalities in my talk this afternoon. So we are followers of Maria Montessori. It's interesting, she died in the year that I was born. I'll let you think of the implications there. And when she first opened the Casa de Bambini, when it first opened its doors, this is what she saw. She said, the eyes of these children coming from illiterate parents, their faces were expressionless, their eyes bewildered as if they had never seen anything before in their lives. I have seen those eyes in locked units for persons with Alzheimer's disease. Everything that we deal with working with persons with dementia, Montessori saw. But she also saw the path forward. She said, if a person flees from a place, it's because he has not found in it that which he needs. In almost any memory care residence, persons will be standing at the door saying, I want to go home. That never surprises me. All of us want to be home. All of us have that need to be in a place where we have choice. Montessori said choice is everything. All of us have that need to be in relationship with the people around us. All of us have a need for purpose, responsibility, connection, meaning in life. And so the treatment for the situation where a person with dementia says, I want to go home, is to make the place where they live truly a home. Yet he can always return if there's a change in the environment from which he fled. She saw the treatment. She saw the way forward. She is always 200 years ahead of us. Okay? She lived and did this work 100 years ago, and at that time, she was 2 centuries ahead. If we observe them closely, we notice they do not listen to the answers given them, but simply keep repeating the questions. Repetitive question asking is one of the major stressors of any caregiver of persons with dementia. What seems to be an eager curiosity is in reality a means of keeping a person they need near at hand. She saw all of this so clearly. We take note of all the details of a disease and yet make no account of the marvels of health. We are trained to look at the deficits of persons with dementia and not their capabilities. Jerome Erkes will speak later this afternoon about a new assessment, a Montessori assessment system, in which we consciously attempt to find the abilities that remain even in persons with advanced dementia, even in persons who have 0 on mental status scores, and to combine that information with plans of care. So we need to begin to think of dementia perhaps as a disability rather than a disease. We have to emphasize using the abilities that remain. We have to look at creating cognitive ramps, just as we have ramps for people in wheelchairs. As a society, we need to create cognitive ramps. The idea of dementia-friendly communities is beginning to grow. I'm working on a project to create one of those in the state of Texas. I was in Abbiate Grosso 4 years ago, walking by a shop, and there was a sign in it. And I asked our host, what does this mean? And she said, it means that if you're a child and lost or worried or in danger, you can come into the shop. This is a safe place. You'll be taken care of. And so from this morning, we heard about that thread for disability. So apparently there's some difficulties. Well, Benny, okay. So, as we heard this morning, we need to create communities that are friendly to those with disability, those who are not what we call normal adults. And finally, we need to recognize that persons with dementia still have the capability of learning. There are learning and memory systems available to them that are also available to children, and that Montessori used in her genius to create educational systems. When we start with a different set of assumptions, it leads us in different directions. If persons with dementia can learn, what would you like them to learn? To get their walker before they walk? Okay. To look at a card in a particular location that answers their question so that they can learn to go to that location, reduce their own anxiety, and relieve the stress of the caregiver. All of these things are possible, so many more. We've been limited by a lack of insight and imagination. But perhaps the most important question is this: What do persons with dementia wish to learn? Do we ask them? When we do, you see very interesting things occur. The ability to learn how to make beer in Switzerland, in Oregon, in the United States. The ability to learn how to use chopsticks and to use them to eat at a Chinese restaurant. The ability to make cheese. The ability to train dogs. We're just beginning down this path of exploration. It will be interesting. She said the greatest source of discouragement is the conviction that one is unable to do something. Think about the clothes that you're wearing. What if someone had come to your hotel or your home this morning and said, "This is what you're going to wear"? And then they said, "Please hold still while I put it on you. I have 10 other people to dress. Don't slow me down." How would you feel about that person? How would you feel about yourself? How would you feel about the clothes you're wearing? The fact that you chose those clothes matters. It influences the way you think about it. And what if that person came every day for the rest of your life to where you're living? How long would it take before you learn to be dependent? In a Montessori school or in homes, children say, "Let me do it myself." I've heard the same thing in people with dementia. And the answer they get is often the same. No, I will do it for you. You will take too long. Help those who are in search of activity and cannot find it. In many memory care residences, there are people that are called wanderers. They wander. People think they wander aimlessly. Actually, that's not true. The research shows there's a pattern. What are they looking for? It's interesting when we do Montessori activities with interesting materials, the wanderers stop and they come to watch and to take part. We call this process unwandering. And we tell people who begin this approach, get used to it. Have extra chairs at the table, extra sets of materials. This is what will happen spontaneously. People have a need for purpose. They look for it. She understood this at a profound, deep level. Does using Montessori approaches for dementia mean that we treat older adults like children? I get this question asked all the time. I'm surprised it wasn't asked today with the press conferences and interviews, but if they had asked, this is what I would have said. The key values that we follow, following Montessori's lead: respect, dignity, and equality. We treat everyone with respect, dignity, and equality. Montessori treated children with respect, dignity, and equality. She treated them as persons, as we treat persons with dementia as persons. We honor their life experience. We honor giving them choice, allowing them to seek and find meaningful activity and social roles. We focus on abilities rather than what they cannot do. So there's a Buddhist teaching phrase. It's called unask the question. It means take the question back. You're not thinking correctly. Do we treat older adults like children? Unask the question. Okay. We treat people like people. And so when we work with persons in dementia, care, organizations, companies, programs, we ask that they consider and have all of their workers and staff consider taking this pledge. I will work to create a place where I would want to live. I will remember that I'm a guest in the home of these persons with dementia. I need to act like a good guest. I will treat everyone I meet with respect, dignity, and equality, and that means everyone. Other staff, family, residents, myself. I will remember I must earn the trust of my residents. They must learn to trust me. Trust is the basis of relationship. Without it, you cannot have good relationship. But it must be earned. In everything we do, things as simple as always speaking to a person at their eye level, whether they're 3 years old or 93 in a wheelchair. These are little things. These are big things. We will apply the Montessori principles in everything that I do. And I will treat everyone the way I wish to be treated. I did 3 days of training in Montpellier, I guess 4 years ago. At the end of the 4th day, a student raised her hand, and this is what she said. Now I understand. This was not about dementia. This is about changing civilization. I said, now you understand. This was Maria's real vision and goal. And when you do this, when you live this, it goes beyond your job. You begin to treat your family and your friends and the people you work with differently. If you each day think about these words in the pledge, it's about a way of living, a good way of living as decent human beings. Mark Twain, the American writer, said, what the world needs now is more simple human decency. So what are the principles that we extract from the Montessori method when we apply them to persons with dementia? First, activity should have a sense of purpose and meaning. To just try to keep someone busy is an insult. Invite the person to participate. Always give choice. We say, never use the word can you. Can you come with me? Can you do this? Say, would you? Would you is a choice. Would you gives them control. And they may say no. That's the point. We talk less and we demonstrate more. Always demonstrate what you want a person to do before you ask them to do it. If you want a person with dementia to regain the capacity to brush their own teeth, you may need to come in with 2 toothbrushes and 2 things of toothpaste. And you slowly invite them to do the same. And we practice, their hands will remember again. As Maria always said, they will learn through their hands. Focus on what the person can do, not what they can't do. We match our speed to theirs. So we may need to learn to slow down. We use visual cues, hints, cognitive ramps. How can we enable a person to regain the capacity to set their own table again. So we have the outlines of the fork and the knife and the spoon. How can we enable a person to remember where they left their glasses? This is my cognitive ramp. Without it, I would put my glasses down and forget where I left them. We can also do this with outlines, templates for hearing aids, dentures, give practice going to the location where that is to be found, put it in the plan of care. All these are possible. Give the person something to hold. So manipulatives, key element of the Montessori approach. What are they holding? What are they doing with their hands? What are they creating for themselves, for their community? We go from simple to complex, always. We break a task down into steps. So yesterday we saw older adults weaving incredibly complex baskets and three-dimensional helixes. And it started by rubbing paper, making it into a thing that looked like a straw, and then being able to start folding one straw until they were doing 7, simple to complex. Okay? We break a task down into steps, and we ask by saying, did you enjoy this? Would you like to do this again? So an invitation for the future. And finally, we let go of the idea that there's a right way and a wrong way. There are many ways to use Montessori materials. The brown stairs, the pink tower. Yeah, it's just embedded in Montessorians that children will find and create ways we never thought of. And the same is true with an older adult. They will teach us. What a gift they have to give us, these older persons, with or without dementia, if we're open to it. This is the Montessori pledge at the entrance of a memory care residence in Oregon. And the principles. This is what you see when you walk in. Every employee takes the pledge. Okay. And your work is evaluated according to whether you enabled independence, whether you enabled people to do more without you and for each other. Different criteria for success. Okay, well, all right. Around the world, there are 4 models of dementia care. And Jerome, if you'll give me like a 10 or a 20-minute warning, okay, so I can pace. Thank you. There are 4 models of dementia care around the world. First is a prison. Prison is a place where you have no choice. People with dementia are separated from society. They're viewed as dangerous to others or to themselves. The residents with a life sentence. And like in most prisons, you're known by your crime. The screamer in room 102. Okay. The hitter in room 504. Second model is a hospital. Here, once again, you're viewed as getting no choice. That's the defining feature of a prison. You have no choice. Everything's determined for you. It's similar in a hospital. If you don't believe that, try to leave without your doctor's permission. See how far you go. There are patients with a terminal illness. This was on the front door of a room in a nursing home in Canada. Has lotion and signs about contact. I was asked, are you taking pictures to show how efficient we are? I said, no. You're paying me to consult and I have to give a report. One of my recommendations will be that you hang this on the front door of the home of every member of your board of directors. If it's good enough for this man's home, it's good enough for theirs. Respect, dignity, equality, treating others the way we wish to be treated. How can you live those things and do this? Typical shower in a hospital or prison. The little knob there, you can turn the blinds up or down so you can look in on somebody. See? This is what's out there. Third model is that of a hotel. Here you do everything for the person. There are paying customers. I've seen the advertisements. Just bring your easy chair. Nothing left to do. You do not live in a hotel. You stay in a hotel until you can go home. Even a great hotel on vacation. That's not where you live. So a person can be in a beautiful residence and say, I want to go home. That's why. Montessori said, everything you do for me, you take away from me. It changes our duty, changes our obligation. Okay. She said the amount of challenges, problems manifested by the person is a reaction showing dissatisfaction with an environment that was not made for them. Montessori talked about the prepared environment that supports the individual person. We need to create prepared environments for persons with dementia. Social and physical, working in coordination, in combination. Because if we don't, both of us know this, if we don't, we know what they'll try to put us in. And it will not be a prepared environment. And my dear friends, you are not prepared for us. And we will not go quietly into that night. So the fourth model is a home embedded in a community, connected to the larger world. This is on the front door of a man in a nursing home in Lugano, Switzerland. He chose what he wanted on his door. He likes watches and women, and he is from Brazil. And no one ever goes into his room by mistake. And he doesn't go into other people's rooms by mistake. This is in the bathroom of a woman in a nursing home following the Montessori approach 100 kilometers south of Paris. If I did not tell you it was a nursing home, you would not know it's a nursing home. That's the point. It's her home. That was how she described her room. Would you like to visit my home? We saw this before. This is how it was transformed in a memory care unit in Florida. And they would play a person's favorite music when they went to this new shower. And they reduced the use of antidepressants in the memory unit 50% after these two small changes. Prepared environment. How to enable people to put away their own clothes. First was from Oregon, this is from Apt in Provence. How to enable people to set their own table. Avignon. You may have to add additional signage to the one that the designers put together so that it can actually be used and useful. You may have to have two name tags, one for corporation and a big one just with your own name for the residents to use. You already know your name. Can they read yours? Please help yourself. And when the sign was put up, the residents began to actually use the water, and they created a fruit committee to determine what fruit they wanted in the water because they didn't like lemon so much, so they went more to pineapple and sweet things. and they have to replace the water every afternoon. It's used so much, and they reduced urinary tract infections 40% because people are drinking water. One sign giving permission. Again, help yourself, different juices. Help yourself to the magazines. So people need to know that they can actually use their environment, especially when we're starting, how to make choices for meals. So you actually see what you're ordering before you get it on the menu. How many times have you been in a restaurant just with words on the menu and then, I want what he had? Yes. I know last night mine was pretty good. How to communicate in other languages by reading your own or speaking your own. Okay. In English, for example, if you wanted to say, time to wake up, paras stayats in Russian. So whatever languages your residents or staff are speaking, we can enable them to communicate with each other. It's interesting, we asked the Russian residents, what would you like to say to the staff? They said, please don't shout at me. Because if you speak the words louder, that helps them understand in another language. Hello. Your clothes are at the laundry. They'll come back nice and fresh on Friday. Someone stole my clothes. Okay. These are words chosen by the resident. And so, jobs for the community, name tags, so people can call each other by name. Hello. And I'll close with a little video. The daughter visiting her mother. The mother has advanced dementia. The mother is paralyzed on one side. The mother cannot speak. And on her good side, 3 fingers are frozen. How to enable the daughter to engage with her mother, who was an artist, taught creative art.
This. See what happens?
We're fine. So the containers have colors of sand, different colors of sand. And of course there's a funnel to help you pour the sand into the glass vase, very Montessori. Okay. So she's going to make different levels of sand in the vase.
Now look at that. How are we doing? Is that what you wanted?
And the mother's deciding more of this color, less of this color, because it's her activity. It is her creation. And the daughter's role is to enable the mother to make this her own, focusing on the abilities that remain. People ask, why are you asking her to reach so high? Because these motor skills will be necessary to regain capacity to feed yourself, to dress. This is rehabilitation applied to dementia care, just as Montessori used rehabilitation applied to educate children.
You're there. That's good. Okay, now look. That's green. Got a good grip? Say when.
You don't need to speak to be able to do this. You don't need the paralyzed side to be able to do this. Okay. We need to look with new eyes. We need to see the potential, the capability, rather than the disability. And we need to enable other people to do that.
That's black. Kind of a dark charcoal gray. Mix.
So the daughter's saying, now that in that cup there's black, it's a nice charcoal gray. It makes a good boundary.
It's a nice divider between all the bright colors.
And the mother ignores her. It's a mother-daughter kind of issue, because it's the mother's choice, the mother's creation. She will accept suggestions and will feel free to ignore them, which she's doing. And we need to allow that, to be encouraged by that, to lose control, to give control back to persons with dementia. Montessori said the child will lead us. And we say the person with dementia will lead us. If we let them.
I'm gonna go right. If only you had orange too.
If only you had orange too.
Kind of looks like a teardrop ornament, doesn't it?
And this becomes the centerpiece for the dinner, where this woman will sit with other people on the memory unit. And the other residents will be told tonight's centerpiece was created by Margaret. And they will look at her differently. And the daughter looks at her differently. And the woman thinks of herself differently. This is the gift that we can give to begin to create relationship, community, purpose. And think of the visits that happened before this. Think of the daughter going to visit a woman who doesn't move half of her body and can't speak, and the daughter thinks of all the loss and what's not there. New eyes. New eyes. And so this is what we are about. It's about bringing Montessori's vision to a world that certainly needs it right now, especially with the number of older adults growing so rapidly, because the system we create is the one we're going to live in. And some days I'm this close to moving in, so I have a personal interest in this. And we invite you, here in this place where Montessori's spirit came onto this earth, we invite you to join us in this next age of discovery for the Montessori method. Thank you.